So recently, Cody Rhodes made some comments about his desire to want to bring back house shows.
Suggested them. I said, run one weekend a month. Call them house shows. Make them almost poke the fourth wall a little bit in terms of what they are. They're canon, but they're not. You're going to see some of the stuff you see on TV.
And honestly, I feel like he had some really, really good points.
And I'm going to get into it right here from the garage.
So Cody talked about how his idea that he pitched, I believe, was to bring back some house shows, and the importance of house shows he's always felt they were to just the boys and the girls in the locker room, and that notion that, like, how do you feel like you belong to this team if you're not really with everyone on a consistent basis, if you're only showing up for TV, which I very much agree with. And he really brought up this good idea and this good point about how, like, maybe you could do, like, I think it's like he said 1 weekend or 1 week out of the month, and it just you promote it as it's house shows, and it's almost like that tongue-in-cheek type of deal where people know what it is, but you just kind of like have this special themed house show type of event for the fans that are showing up in the arenas themselves, right? Instead of just it being TV. Because having been to a house show and having been to TV and having been to a PLE or pay-per-view, it is a very different experience whenever it's for the TV audience, and you feel like whenever there's a break in the action or whatever, it's like you as the audience are just a set piece. You're not actually an audience. And I think these house shows, the ones I went to, a couple ones I went to in the past, way back in the day, back when, it was like the almost ruthless aggression era. It was so fun. I mean, I think the wrestlers had fun. The audience had fun. It wasn't this really formulaic A block, B block, C block type of show. It just felt free flowing, and it felt like they were really kind of going with the audience and listening to the crowd and all that stuff. And I think this is also another point that I bring up which is why I really like this idea of house shows that Cody talks about, is because I think the in-ring product has kind of dipped, honestly. And it is not at all an indictment on the wrestlers' efforts, on their talent level, or on them as people. I don't think they're lazy. I mean, they're so talented, I think, these days. But I think it's just the reps, the live reps. And again, like, I'm an Attitude Era guy, and I grew up watching Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, and especially, again, back in the day, there were house shows, and you go to these, and, like, you could just see wrestlers, try things they wouldn't normally try, and it's pretty evident on TV, right? That, like, you don't have always the time, like the long match time that you would have in a house show. So then, like, you learn through reps of always being in house shows of, like, and like Bret talks about it, Bret Hart talks about it, where, like, you could go from town to town to town doing the same type of match and trying it out and testing it out and seeing how audiences feel about it, because, not everyone had cell phones and things like that, but you had these house shows you could practice. And then I'm sure when it came time to, like, TV time or PLEs or pay-per-views at the time, wrestlers knew what to cut out, what they could add in, what they could hone, and what they could clean up. And it just made for an all-around better show and product. And to me, that's the biggest thing that I do have a problem with these days, is, like, whenever the moves seem sloppy, and I don't mean in because sometimes it's a good thing when the move seems sloppy because it's like a real fight. That's not what this is. What I mean is, like, when the moves in the ring clearly seem like they're trying to do one thing, and then it's like the other person in the ring, or the other guy or girl in the ring, is, like, waiting for them to get hit. And that just kind of takes me out of it. It's like whenever you're feeding, but yet you're just, like, not, you're almost, there's a period of time, it's like dead air of, like, you're waiting for the other person to execute their move, and you're just standing there. And, like, when common sense kicks in, like, I get it's pro wrestling, but when common sense kicks in, as an audience member, you're like, why the hell are they just staying there? Why the hell are they just standing right there? Like, that's what annoys me. And I think whenever you have these house shows in practice and reps, you have less of those situations, because those ring timing and rhythm and just the flow of movement is there because it's practiced, and you're callous to these kind of situations, and your awareness is there, as opposed to you're handed a script, or you go over in rehearsal a certain script that you've only done a couple times, and then when the match happens and it's live and it's on TV, it doesn't look as clean as it probably should.
Thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe for more videos on my channel. Catch you guys later.